morning, and this is Osun Decides 2022, and I must say this is a very important day for people of Osun State. My name is Rebami Salako, and I'm glad to be here with you this morning. And with me in the studio is Nuruddin Adegbero, a journalist and a lecturer. It's so good to have you here with us today, sir.
Well, good to be here, and today is not just any day. It's a special day to all the residents and indigenous of Osun, because today is when they are going to really select, appoint, and vote, downward vote for the governor they really chooses across the 30 local governments of that particular state. And this state is so, out of all the southwest states, this state is highly political, because this is going to be another frame for that state, because since the inception in 1991, when this state was created, it's only governor that have finished first and second tenure. So we are going to see what is going to happen today, but it's a high political state. Irrespective of the 30 local governments, every parties have their own local government they share, and personality are much more involved in Osun. Osun is a very big test for INEC ahead of the 2023 general election.
Yes, indeed. And I must say, INEC has got their work cut out for them. You know, 30 local government area in just the state. And from statistics, Osun State has the second largest local government areas in Nigeria, which, well, I am sure INEC themselves are prepared for these big tasks in front of them. And when we look at Osun State, like you said, it's a very important state when it comes to politics, because Osun State has the second highest number of highest literacy number in Nigeria, yes, which is big. And I sincerely hope that we have a lot of turnout for this election, because prior to election, you always see people saying, oh yes, we want to vote. This present governor have not been doing well, and then this is time for us to choose another person, the person we actually want. But then election day, well, let us wait, because today is really the D-Day, and then we look forward to seeing a whole lot of people come out to vote. And what is your own opinion on voters' apathy for this particular election?
Well, this particular election is going to be a little bit different. When you look at the last governorship election in that particular state that brought the current governor, Oyetola, 45% of the registered voters voted in that particular election. Are we going to see ahead of 45% as we speak? Because and that was the highest in that particular state, irrespective of the number of the local government. But with what is happening now, this particular, we may have 15 candidates, governorship candidates in that particular state, but it has been narrowed down to like 4 that are major ones. And when you have 4 major candidates out of the 15 candidates, you know it's going to be keenly contested. But another thing again is this: the party faithfuls need to do more, especially in the morning. I know they've been doing that from morning, from Monday till now, telling people to come out and vote, and the security operatives have been telling everybody, especially the DIG in charge of this particular election, we are talking about DIG Kokumo, has been telling people going from one particular radio station from Monday till now that people should come out. There are a lot of riot police officers on ground, a lot of state security officers, EFCC officials are on ground, ICPC are on ground, a lot of inter-security operatives are on ground, that people should come out and vote. But one thing there is this: how people are going to react, because taking PVC is one thing, using it and come out to vote on the day of election is going to be another thing. And with what is happening now, a lot of people are already being sympathetic with any of the political parties they want to do more. And another thing again is that now we are doing it even in Galaxy here. That is very important for all Osun State residents that have their PVC to come out and vote. This is the only chance in the democratic setting that you can really elect somebody that is going to govern you for another 4 years. But one thing is there: if it is very, very important, all media stations currently in Osun and around should be doing more, and also security must be tied top notch, because that is one of the things that people are going to really be going at. Another thing again that politicians are using to push them out is the issue of vote buying. I can tell you authoritatively that from Monday, vote buying has been taking place. So they will not see anybody giving money on the polling unit. No, they've devised a means. As we go on in the program, I'm going to roll out the means that politicians have really planned how vote buying has been. They've started from Monday. They started Tuesday. They're wrapping it up on Thursday.
Because that is shocking. Because we have a whole lot of group monitoring this exercise. You know, trying to make sure that such things as vote buying did not take place. And then I really look forward to your analysis. And now I think it's about time for us to join our correspondent in Osun State, John Felix, and he's about to give us updates on what's going on there over there right now. Hello, John. Could you please bring us up to date on what's going on there?
Good morning, Iribami. It's election day here in Osun State, July 16th. Today is the D-Day. Residents of Osun State are waiting, have been expecting to go exercise their franchise. This particular exercise is expected to take place in 30 local government areas of the state, as well as 332 registration centers and 3,763 polling units across the state. 15 candidates is expected to go into this poll today. With the least age, the least among them is 35 years old, while the oldest is 66 years old. You know, since the advent of democracy, the state has witnessed 4 democratically elected governors, right from B.C. Akande in 1999 down to 2003, Prince Olagunsoye Oyinlola 2003 to 2010, Rauf Aregbesola 2010 to 2018, and the incumbent governor 2018 down to 2022. Now the D-Day is set for them, the residents of the state, to put out the next person who will be the 5th democratically elected, governor of the state. The most interesting part of this is that they are familiar terrain, it's a familiar race, it's a familiar terrain. 15 candidates, we have 5 who have been perceived to be the major contenders: the APC, the Labour Party, the PDP, the SDP, and of course the Accord Party. But we know that even among those 5, there are 2 who have been perceived also to be the strongest among the 5 of them, and that's the APC and the PDP. This is also going to be a case whereby it's a familiar terrain, if a renewal battle that happened in 2018, that's going to play out in 2022, because the candidates of the APC in 2018 and the PDP will also be squaring it out in 2022. Right here, I'm at the Salvation Army School in Osun, one of the rack centers where materials have been moved out, to different polling unit areas of the state. This is also one of the polling units where election will be taking place today. So I can, from my journey down to this place, we see a serious security presence across the road, whereby if you don't have any business, you don't have to be out there. Yesterday there was a security advisory stating that there will be curfew between the hours of 12 o'clock midnight to 6 p.m. till when the exercise will have been concluded. So there's no movement of vehicles if you don't have any business out there, just people that have one thing or the other to do, election observers, media, journalists, amongst other persons with the accredited tag, are those that can actually move out for this particular election.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. It seems like things are going smoothly over there. But what time is voting supposed to commence? And by now, I think that INEC officials should have already set up there, in preparation for the election. How is the preparation like over there? That is from INEC. Are they there already? Are they setting up?
Yes, distribution of non-sensitive materials, started on Thursday across the 322 registration areas and across the 3,763, polling units. Now, this morning, just like I said, this is just one of the rack centers whereby the materials that are supposed to go to this polling unit are being taken out from this place. This is also a polling unit where voters will exercise their franchise this morning. If you could see right behind me, it's a polling unit already where INEC officials are there, core members are there, adult staff are there, waiting for the kickoff of this election. Is expected to start by 8 o'clock this morning. But from what I've seen so far, I see that people are already moving out to their registration, to their different polling units, waiting for the time to exercise their franchise.
All right, and from your audio over there, I could get sirens blaring. So I'm guessing that means security over there is top notch.
Yes, we have presence of security agencies across, the polling unit, the polling booths. We've also been informed that to complement what they have, also men of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps will also be on ground, to man, each of the polling units just to forestall any form of violence or disorder. So each polling unit has a presence of a security officer. Just as you can see behind me, there's a member of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps who is at the extreme end of that polling unit. Anybody that doesn't have any business out there will not be allowed to go close to such places, and they'll be returned back to their respective homes.
Okay, all right. So when should we be expecting to see voters come out to do what they're supposed to do?
Voting commences at 8, and if you could see clearly just behind me, see some persons. What is taking place is that their names have been pasted to a wall, and you can see pockets of voters who are already checking by to see their names. Aside that, we have core members who are already waiting also on standby just to be sure that everything is set. What is left here, we have the boxes also, of course, the boxes that will be used in which the votes will be dropped into the bucket. We have that here already sorted. The names have been pasted to the wall. We have core members and also other INEC supervisory officials who are also waiting. This is about 15 minutes past 7. The election is supposed to start by 8, and we believe that any time from now, voters will be coming out, to exercise the franchise with the election starting by 8. But one interesting thing about this election is to see how, issues of vote buying will be curbed. That means the way the voting cubicle will be placed to where the votes will be dropped will be one area that will pay more attention to as far as this election is concerned, so that people don't have to expose their ballot papers wherever they must have cast their vote.
We thank you so much for that update, Justice. We'll be linking up with you as the program goes by. Thank you very much.
Many thanks.
And there you go, that's the situation report from Osun State. And what do you feel about that?
It's still early, and we are still urging all the voters to come out, especially the Osun residents, although a lot of things are going to really patch up in this particular election, as all the elections that we've done, because this particular election is the last governorship election we are going to have in Nigeria before 2023 general election. So INEC on its own, they must make sure that their staffs, ad hoc staffs, they get to the polling unit early, because if you have said you are going to open by 8 and it's going to close by 5, so if you come late, that means you've shot out of the hours of people. Then in a situation in which a particular unit has a longer numbers, you won't be able to extort it at that particular time. And we don't want a situation the election is going to run through the night. Then another thing again is this: we hope that all our security agencies will be so neutral, so that no political party will be pointing accusing figures to them that they supported this. And thank God that there was a court order that have stopped Amotekun Corps in Osun not to even be part of the security operatives that are going to be in charge, because that particular one has been put, so no Amotekun members will be part of it. So it makes it so if INEC can play his own part very well, and at the same time security operatives should be at alert, because all these politicians, they have other ways and what they've crooks, so they must be at alert. Those ones at the polling unit, the riot officers, they must be well manned and they must be impartial. That one is very important. Thank God that Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has told all the ad hoc staff, any one of you that is partial in this particular election will be prosecuted. So that one has read the riot act. And at the same time, Kokumo, the DIG in charge of this Osun election, has also told all the officers there, irrespective of whether you are state security officers, whether you are riot officers, maybe you are police officers, anybody involved, even the civil defense corps, that any one of you that is partial in this election, maybe aid and abetting with any politician, collect money, try to sabotage what INEC has put on ground, will be prosecuted. I think if everybody plays by the rules, and the voters too, any voters, like Philip just said, you want to vote after printing, you now show your ballot paper out, it is part of the electoral law, you will be arrested. So if that one is being done and everybody does that, I think we are going to have a kind of free and fair election that will be free from rancor. But anything, all the stakeholders, if any break, because you know politicians are always the problem during the day of elections, they want to corner one way or the other. So what is important is that everybody should be able to be at alert, and they should be watching these politicians. All the houses around each polling unit, they are going to be a place where there is going to be a central headquarter where vote buying will take place. It's not going to be at that polling unit. 2, 3, 4 houses. So security operatives should be they should watch out. You won't see them sharing money. The 2, 3 houses around every polling unit, they are suspect at this particular period. So they must open their eyes and they must shout when they're supposed to shout, and they must not keep quiet. If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people have been arrested, then automatically other ones will be telling themselves, in this place they've arrested some certain people, then we can have a kind of election that will be away from vote buying. But I doubt it.
Okay, yes, because when it comes to money, people usually lose all sense of rationality when it comes to money. And then there is one peculiar thing about elections, that every time there is an election, you always see that everyone is probably fearful because of fear of maybe losing their lives, or maybe if riots occurs, being caught in a stampede. And do you feel like the large presence of security we be having in Osun State right now is enough to curb some of these cases of rancor that usually takes place during elections?
Well, one thing there is this. I think, according to the information released by the DIG in charge, I think with the number of officers on ground there, they have 2,231 riot officers extra on it. Then we have about 21,000 police officers apart from the riot officers. We are not talking about civil defense. We are not talking about other security arms that's going to come out to really join them. I think there shouldn't be any problem. Every officer that is going to be in charge of the polling unit will not have a gun. But there's going to be a surveillance all around. And don't forget, 3 helicopters have been disbursed by the IGP also to Osun, so that they can be able to really rove around on the air. And also there are some marine boats that have been put on ground for them because of the riverine area, so that they can be able to monitor what they need to monitor. But what is important here is that there should not be fear this time around, because the riot officers are going to be at different joints, not at the polling units. And they will be telling people, just come out and vote. We are here to secure your safety when you are polled, when you are going. But another thing again is this, that it is very important that politicians must play by the rules, because they are always the problem during election. They are the major problem. INEC will not have any problem, because their own is just to conduct. Anybody that wins, that is their problem. But the security operatives too, they don't have much in the election. It's just to guide people, guide the materials, that's all. But politicians, they will try to lure the INEC officials, they will try to lure the security operatives, they will try to lure the voters. So they are the major problem here, and that is the situation that we need to really. Then another thing, that the residents that want to go and vote, did you want to go and vote, or you want to collect little change that you are going to spend in 20 minutes for the rest of 4 years? Are you voting based on conscience? Are you voting for development? Are you voting for a particular candidate because you believe in that candidate that is going to make your life better? So all these things is what is really important. And another thing again is that everybody, you are going to see a lot of elderly people in Osun that's going to come out.
Okay, all right. And then with this, let us link up with our correspondent in Osun State, that is Kunle Ojo, so he may give us live updates of what's going on in the zone environment over there. So hello Kunle, could you please bring us up to date? What's going on there?
Thank you very much for having me at this time. I'm at Unit 19 and Unit 20 in Osogbo local government. At Unit 19 in Osogbo, we have 1,000 accredited voters. And at Unit 20, we have 1,200 accredited voters. And I can confirm to you, as you can rightly see behind me here, we have the voters ready to perform their civic responsibility this morning, to elect the new governor in Osun State. Also, we have security men on ground to ensure all law and order at in this location. And also, the officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, they are fully on ground with all the required materials for today's exercise to go on as expected. Although move around most of the area this morning, we discovered that most of the materials at the designated rack centers were moved very early in the morning, and this has enabled the ad hoc staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission to arrive at their location on time. So at this place, INEC on ground with the materials, voters are ready to go for the exercise.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. And how is the security like over there? Because it seems like from the background there, I'm seeing that a lot of people are there already, which I guess should usher in lots of security.
I can confirm to you, brother, at this my side, we have officials of the officers of the Nigerian Police Force on ground air with other sister security agencies. As you can see them, they are fully on. They are on ground air. You can confirm with the picture you are seeing now that we have security men fully on ground to ensure law and order at this polling unit. Although the two polling units, 19 and 20, are very close and at 18 at 19 we have policemen here. Also at 19 at the far end, we equally have security men on ground to ensure that law and order is maintained at this location. Also, we have few movements. We have few movement of maybe the voters that are moving or relocating to their polling units to perform their civic duty this morning.
Okay, all right. Have you been able to interact with any of the INEC officials over there? How are they feeling about this morning's election?
The ad hoc staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission that are here, they are already busy with setting up their cubicles and other materials for voting and for accreditation and voting to commence. But with what I'm seeing on ground here, they are impressed with the turnout of voters that we have on ground, and they as well are fully prepared, well trained to ensure that the exercise go on as expected.
Okay. Oh, what about the voters? Have you been able to interact with any one of them? How are they feeling about this election? Are they elated, or are they probably, a little bit scared because they don't know, because of fear of the unknown?
With the moon on ground at units 19 and 20, the voters are eager. They are ready. You can see them. If you can have this number at this time, accreditation is yet to commence, voting is yet to commence, but to see the number behind me, this is an indication that the voters are ready. The eagerness is there to ensure that their candidate of their choice emerge at the end of the day. So, without any shadow of doubt, the voters are ready. The eagerness are on their faces.
Okay, all right. We thank you very much for that update. We'll be linking up with you later to bring us up to date as developments unravels. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me at this time.
And I think this is good news. It's not even 8 o'clock, it's not even 7:30 yet, and we are seeing a whole lot of people. But I would say Osogbo is a big place, and it's where I would say one is expecting a lot of voters to turn out today.
Osogbo has been like that. There are some certain local governments in Osun that by 6 a.m. immediately after early morning prayer, you see them trooping out on the day of election. It is not peculiar to this election. Other elections too, even when there was a rerun in 2017, you see a lot of people, especially when Isiaka Adeleke died, and there's going to be an election to fill that senatorial district. As early as 6:30, you could see a lot of people. There are some certain local governments that are so important to this particular election. So you could see the kind of, like Osogbo, for instance, a lot of people are expected to be coming out. And also, Ayedire, you are going to see, even in Ayedade, a lot of people then, those people then Ejigbo, Then if a central, if a east and if a north, then if a south, you see a lot of people dropping out, because there are some certain things that people don't know about this election. This is the first time when you have candidate contesting, out of the 30 local government, that 2 will come from the same senatorial district. In fact, some are adjoined local government. For instance, now the candidate like Oyetola and Lasso Yusuf, the current governor and Lasso Yusuf, they are from the same senatorial district, Osun Central Senatorial District. Then Senator Adeleke and Ogunbiyi are also from the same senatorial district, that is Osun West Senatorial District. So it's not about contestation in the state alone, in the senatorial district, some in the local government. So that is what makes this election that is going to be very thick. And you are going to see, we want to see a situation in which if this particular governorship election, in terms of turnout, is going to be larger than what we have 4 years ago, where we have about 45% of registered voters, we want to see, because this is just Osogbo. By the time our correspondent from other local government can be feeding us what is happening in other local government, we can be able to know and look at the shape. But it's a 30 local government, so we just have about 2-3 local government. Let's see what is going to happen in another local government, and let's see if they can beat the 45% range that we've known Osun residents to be.
Yes, indeed, because on the list I have here, I had to highlight Osogbo as number 1, where I'm expecting to see most voters turn out. And for the second one, I've just had to circle Ife Central, Ife East, Ife North, Ife South. And then from Ede to, I'm also expecting to see lots of vote there. Then followed by Ilesha, Iwo, Ejigbo, Ishokan, and
Yes, the one of Ilesha is going to be a little bit dicey, especially the one of Ilesha East, Ilesha West, because what normally propelled that one in the last 8 years to 12 years is because they have somebody from that particular place then, which is Rauf Aregbesola, coming out to vote at that particular time. That's why you see that Osun is so political. Everybody, irrespective of the political parties, they all know their strong base. Every of the other candidates, they know that this particular one, the only thing I just want to do, I want to have 25% from your own local government. They know where if one of, and there are some places that are testing ground, that everybody is going to battle for vote in that particular. They know that this particular local government, even a very good analyst will know that this local government, you can predict that this local government, this party will win this local government. This party will win, but there are some certain local governments that they are not much, but they are the major deciders. They are not much like Osogbo. They are not much like Ilesha. They are not much like Ede. They are not much like Ife. But they are major determinant. But there are some certain candidates that come from all those small local governments too. So you see that the battle is going to be very, very thick in terms of especially the 5 major leading candidates that people are perceived to be the 5. So it's going to be a lot of top to haul, like APC, PDP, Labour Party, Accord Party, and SDP. So there are some other contestants. Don't forget that candidates here, we have 15. But on paper and with the strongholds and the political structure and popularity and what they've done and what their party represent, we've narrowed it to 5. But out of that 5, 2, as Philip said, people are looking for it. But there are a lot of major deciders in some certain local government, especially like Irekodun, Irewole, Ishokan. Then Iwo is another place that people that the residents normally troop out early in the morning. By the time we have Phillips or we have our other correspondent from Iwo to give the report in that particular, you will see the level of, because it's another place where it's going to be turned on. Then another one is Obokun, then Oduoti and Olaoluwa. These local governments are not so that big, but there are some certain important things in that particular local government. Like Oduoti now, where Okuku is the headquarters. This is the home of the former governor of that particular state, Prince Olagunsoye Oyilola. So there's a lot of going to be a determinant factor in each of these particular local government, because there are some personalities attached to each local government. There are some political history around every local government, and that is what is making it so that thick and much contested.
Okay, yes, all right.
Whether the 2022 Osun governorship election satisfies electoral integrity test, Yaga Africa will consider a range of issues such as shortcomings in the pre-election period, the quality of election day processes, and the scale and scope of critical incidents on election day. Yaga Africa appeals to INEC's permanent and ad hoc staff, all security agents, political parties, candidates, and the supporters, as well as all Osun people, to work together to ensure that the Osun governorship election is credible and peaceful.
Being the last major election before the 2023 general elections, the July 16 polls is an opportunity for INEC to build citizens' confidence and gain the trust of Nigerians ahead of the 2023 general elections. Thus, it is crucial that the logistics of the election and the technology employed by INEC function optimally. While INEC has expressed confidence in the state of its preparedness, Yaga Africa urges the Commission not to overestimate its capacity nor underestimate potential challenges that could undermine the election.
Election security and the potential for election day violence. In the days leading to the Osun elections, the atmosphere remains tensed, with reports, accusations and counter-accusations of both physical attacks targeted at candidates and their supporters. Also, the increasing activities of political thugs and cultists in the state are no doubt capable of threatening the safety of election personnel, the materials, and the voters for which this election is conducted. On vote merchandising and diminishing legitimacy of political mandates, Yaga Africa notes that recent elections have been determined by the highest buyer and the highest bidder. Now, these impact on the legitimacy of the outcome of every election. Thus, the social contract between citizens and government is becoming transactional rather than based on a relationship of trust, one of accountability, and the demand for good governance.
These materials have been under very heavy security since the days we brought them, and on the arrival of these materials, we invited the party agents. You witnessed the arrival. Is that also? Yes. So exactly, including the IPAC chairman. The process we are going to follow, we have the local governments that are far away will be the ones to be loaded. So don't expect that we will load alphabetically. Early today, we have loaded the beavers into the vehicles. Beavers is also a sensitive material. Then the ballot papers will now be loaded, and then each local government will be moving. We expect that within 2-3 hours, we will have completed the movement.
Class, in the name of the Peace Committee, I want to appeal to you. We love our country, we love our democracy, but please.
Good to have you back, and if you're just joining us, this is Osun Decides 2022. And one of the major things about this election is, of course, the voters. Without voters, there can't be election. And when it comes to voters, the ones who are the determinant of how this whole election would play out, one begins to wonder, is it truly their volition that is playing out, or it is being influenced? So now, over to you, sir, because you promised us some in-depth analysis on vote buying for this Osun election.
Well, to police officers and EFCC officials, ICPC, they will be watchful today, looking for somebody that will share money. You will see at the polling unit, you will not see. But if you are sensitive enough to this analysis, you will know where to get those people you are going to arrest. From Monday, reliable information, stated that at this particular election, politicians have defined a way of their vote buying. Their vote buying is not going to be part of this election. We are going to be lying to ourselves. It has been pre-planned. And what is the planning? They made it in 3 folds. 1, there will be some certain canvassers for vote buying at every polling unit, apart from the party agents. 2, they will have 2 or 3 houses around every polling unit has been a mark as a corridor for vote buying. So if security operatives are looking for those people, look around those houses. They won't be outside. Some have rented a room, some have secured a place in 3 houses around every polling unit. That is where the pacemaster is going to be. Those roving around the polling unit, they are the one that is going to be canvassing for it. You vote for us, they will bargain, and they have a signal they will be sending to 3 or 3 before it gets to the paymaster at polling units. Also, they have divided themselves even to the ward level. They have a coordinator of vote buying in each ward, down to the state constituency. Then there is a one that is going to be roving for senatorial districts. They've done it the way INEC is going to disburse the INEC ad hoc staff. That is the way these politicians have earmarked and strategized for vote buying. It is now important for security operatives to be sensitive. Not just sitting down. Those ones sitting down with the ballot paper, fine. But those ones that will be roving around, ICPC, EFCC needs to do a lot of works on this particular intelligence gathering. That they need to, because if you can pick out of the 30 local government, you arrest in like 5-10 local government between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. I'm telling you, they will be sending signal to other local government that EFCC have arrested here, they've arrested here, and that one will calm this vote buying. This particular election is so important to the politicians because it speaks a lot of volume. It's the last governorship election before general elections. That one is one. Then 2, as much as the ruling party did not want to lose that party, other candidates want to win too. And his battle narrowed it to 2 major parties. So both of them want to win with what happened in the last election. And don't forget, these 2 major candidates, I'm talking about the current governor, Oyetola and Adeleke, they both faced themselves last 4 years, and we know what happened. And how a rerun have to emerge, call the winner, and a lot of ambiances surrounding that particular election. They are facing themselves again this particular year. So there's going to be teeth for that, and everybody wants to do a lot of things to make sure this election is worthwhile. That's why it's very important. Vote buying is going to play a major role in this particular election only if the security operatives, EFCC, ICPC, they can be sensitive. Look beyond the polling units. Look around the polling unit, because they have created politicians have created model of that vote buying, and they are working towards that model. The way EFCC can puncture is to be sensitive, is to put their hands on ground, and they should see more than just merely seeing at the polling unit. A lot of things, a lot of money. In fact, do you know, according to reliable information, that today we are going to witness the highest number of voter buying. In the last election that we had in Ekiti, now we are talking about these local government, we are talking about 10,000. Politicians are ready to give 20,000, especially to a local government that they want to win and is not their favorite local government. They are ready to give 20,000 per voters. In fact, a particular political party has earmarked 2 million naira for each polling unit. 2 million naira for each polling unit. So you will know that if that particular local government has 3,000 times 2 million, and a lot of billions that are going to exchange hands in this particular state. So that is why all our security operatives, they must be impartial, and they must go for these all these paymasters. Yes. If they can grab 1, 2, 3, 4 in different locations in 20, let's say 20 or 15 local governments, then we are good to go. So what is important here is that we must try much as possible. Now, if we want a credible election today, our security operatives, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have a role to play today. If we can block the issue of that vote buying, then we are going to have an election where people are going to vote without inducement.
Yes, indeed. And then I would say that the police force PRO was trying to put our mind at rest yesterday. That's Muniwa Adejobi. He too acknowledged the fact that you would not see money being shared openly in public, and they are partnering with EFCC and other security agencies to make sure that vote buying did not take place for this Osun election. And let's say, would you also agree that if enough effort is put into it, like you said earlier, indeed they might be able to cut off the line and curb vote buying, and then And I would say all this eventually boils down to devolution of the voters, and this would tell us how serious Nigerians really are in voting in the right person. Because if you are going to be voting for the person who pays you the highest, then you are not serious about Nigeria as a country, or you're not even serious about your state, since this is a gubernatorial election now. Because if you take money from the voter, then you have to suffer for 4 years. Like you said, money you would spend in 20 minutes, even lesser. Because if you go to the markets with 20,000 naira, if you visit a stall also, even a single stall, the whole thing is gone.
Well, one thing there is this. It is very, very important that Nigerians love to clamor before elections. I cannot feed myself. Economy is bad. Insecurity. When is the time to vote? They will now collect money to vote. They forget all their problems at that particular time. They trade those problems basically for money. And that is the problem of all Nigerians, not peculiar to Osun alone. That they always forget that sincerity they have to complain at that particular time. They will forget it immediately they get money to even vote. Then another thing again is this. They should put it at the back of your mind. If you collect from anybody to vote, you are selling your right for the next 4 years in that particular state. And apart from that, politicians will always be politicians. And be fast. Thank God for the current National Assembly members, as much as we want to bash them for a lot of things. The issue of that electoral act, the amended version, is so much important. What it means is that the reason why vote buying is coming up seriously, it has been part of us before, but it's coming out seriously now is because of that BFAS.
That's the only method.
Because one thing there is this, any polling unit that the BFAS is not used, that election is cancelled according to the electoral act. And another thing again is that if you are voting like this, immediately they stop voting, they count it, the result will go ahead of the polling officers, because you will have sent it immediately they finish. Before pasting it, you will send it. It has gone to the server. You can't doctor the paper with you again, and whatever result must go intended with what BVAS registered when people are registering. Are you getting what I'm saying now? So because of that, you have already blocked the way of changing result through BVAS. So what they can do now is that they want to buy the voters to vote for them. That is the reason why you see that vote buying is coming so hard. Another thing again is that EFCC, how many officers do they have? Even the Nigerian police officers have said it on different fora that the population of police officers, they are just trying. Those police officers are trying. When you have less than 500,000 guiding over 2 million, over 200 million, how did you want them to review? How many are they? So the problem there is that EFCC officials, even deployed for Osun, they are not enough. But I know police officer is going to really attach them, because majority of them are also police officers too. So they are going to do, if they can do much work, especially those one roving, and they should do it with high level of sincerity, then you are going to see the numbers of vote buyers, paymasters, politicians that will be arrested today. If the EFCC and police officers and security officers, they do it how they're supposed to, because there are some news they will kill it. But if journalists also can put their eyes on ground, they can look beyond the lines in every polling unit, so that if journalists can cover it, they can't hide it again. And that is one of the things that we know. You know that last in Ekiti election, there are some millions of naira that was collected from one paymaster from civil defense officers, although civil defense denied it, but journalists cover it, and our correspondent also had alluded to it. So what is important there is this: if we can try much as possible to stop this act of vote buying, because it's going to play majorly. That's why you see that all the candidates, one way or the other, they are boasting of naira, they are boasting of, and you know, a lot of governors that have donated to this cause, a lot of senators, a lot of House of Representative members that have donated to this cause. Do you know a lot of movement of money that has happened in the last 7 days to Osun State? In fact, if not because the money is not going to really exchange and being bought, maybe if you collect the money, you are not going to spend it all today. The economy of Osun will have been well boomed between today and tomorrow, because it's going to affect the microeconomy of that particular state, because a lot of money that has never come in the last 4 years is coming to Osun. Billions of naira will be spent today. Don't let us deceive ourselves. But it is a shame on all our politicians. It shows that they don't have the integrity and personality they declare to have. Because if you have done well, if you have campaigned well, if people like you, there is no reason for you to pay anybody before they can vote for you and your party.
Definitely speak for you.
Yes.
And now let us move on to INEC, because you mentioned something about beavers. If we are to look into the current trend of INEC now, well, not trend, the technology INEC is introducing in this election and what we had in 2018, could you quickly make like some comparison of what took place in 2018 with what INEC have then and what we are expecting in this 2022 election? Because like you said, now with the introduction of beavers, that has already eliminated a lot of shenanigans that would take place during that time.
Well, a lot of things has happened. You know that in the last 4 years, there is no into law, proper law that really bring the importance of beavers. But the new amended electoral law has really give room. Any political, any polling unit that beavers is not capture people there to vote, that vote is cancelled. Unlike before, they will say, hey, it's not working, let us use manual. There is no room for manual. You must use that beaver. So it's an addition to what is going to happen today. Then another thing again today is that now they've created a forum where INEC officials can send the results down to the portal. It cannot be changed. And another thing again is that don't forget that in the last 4 years, there are a lot of INEC officials, both ad hoc, that are gone to jail, and there are some that are still in court as we speak. So no INEC official wants to go to jail because of one politician. So because of that, everybody is trying much as possible. We could see one bad eggs all around, but at the same time, they are more dutiful because you have a technology that is going to guide. You can't send a result of 5,000 voters during when you are setting to the portal, and when you now bring the paper, you now bring the one of 6,000. It's not possible. And another thing again is that it's making it much open. To change result now is going to be very difficult. That's why you see politicians that they are trying to pay their way through the voters to vote for them. And another thing again is this. This particular election is going to be different from the other ones. For instance now, I'm not expecting to see a rerun after today's election. Anybody that is going to win, although it's going to be keenly contested, but it's not going to be like it, because there is a new rules now. They have to check each polling unit, the number of registered voters is going to put into consideration. Like the last one, they look at the differences between first and second, and those people that are registered in those areas to call for rerun. But in the new electoral law, what they are going to consider first is how many people registered for these votes. So likely you may not see a rerun. Anybody that's going to win is going to win, because it's going to spread with what electoral law put in place. Then another thing again is this. It's going to really show, this election is going to show a lot of things. Both major parties, PDP and APC, they have internal problem within themselves. Has it been settled? This result of this election will really speak for it. Another thing again is that a lot of meetings will have happened in the last 48 hours to this. In fact, there are some that is going to happen this morning, because they're going to be alliances, because there are some certain local governments that is in the hands of somebody that is not even in the major political party. The way that Omishore decided the last election in the last 4 years, you will see some personality, you will see some political parties that are going to decide, especially smaller local government, but they are going to be worthwhile in this election. But INEC, with what INEC has put in place and the extra beavers they've created for each ward, that if this one is working, they can easily replace. Then how to now replace it easily is what INEC must work on today. We don't want to hear people by 10 o'clock people has not voted in one polling unit. We don't want to hear that, because they've used period to test. And if they cannot get it right in Osun, we are going to be doubting their performance in 2023 general election, because that one is going to be across the state. So this time around, they must channel all their power, and with what they put on ground, because apart from having 2-2 in some certain polling units, they've created some certain places in each ward that they can easily move from that ward to that particular unit if they have any technical problem, and their technicians have been put on hold in each ward so that they can service all other polling units, and they look at the proximity of that ward down to the polling unit. I think INEC has done very well. What they put together, we want to see the test today. We don't want to hear BVAS is not working here, is not working here, and they know any polling units that BVAS is not used to capture people, that election will be null and void.
Yes, indeed. And this is where we'll be drawing the curtain close for now, because the election ball is just about to get rolling. My name is Iribami Salako, and with me here is Nuruddin Adegbero. We thank you so much for your analysis. So join us at the top of the next hour for more in-depth analysis, and it is still Osun Decide 2022. See you then.